Ladies and gents, welcome back. Welcome back. NFL Week 12 here. Took a couple weeks off, was out of the country for, let me turn this music off, for a little vacation. We're back, NFL Week 12. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Shane, what's going on in the NFL? What I missed the last 2 weeks?
A lot of trash teams being trash, and some people are finally getting fired for not doing their job. And I don't think I think there might be a lot more that happen in the coming weeks, which
I agree.
are long overdue.
I agree. All right, speaking of jobs in the hot seat, we got two guys here who I think both agree should be or might be on the hot seat after the season, depending on how these last couple weeks go. Saints come into Atlanta as 1.5 point favorites in this one. I like the dog here, Shane, with the plus money.
Yeah, I'm on the Falcons here. Desmond Ritter 4-0 ATS versus the NFC South and 0-8 ATS versus all our divisions. So he likes to just play against the big competition that's for him. Derek Carr is not a good player in spots like this of favored to 3 point or less. Derek Carr's still kind of hurt. I don't know if he's fully 100%. I don't know if the shoulder is still messing with him. He was just on concussion protocol. Just take the home team that's getting points here. Seems like the smart thing to do. Falcons have more playmakers. They're finally giving Bijan the ball. It took them about 12 weeks to finally get him most of the touches. I think Dennis Allen, this might be his last year coaching, at least for the Saints. And that's pretty much it. I'll just take the home dog here in the division matchup.
Yeah, short home dogs are pretty well this year. I think it's like 58% through week 11. So I like the home value here. Ritter at home's been pretty good his whole career, basically. And line just looks like they're begging you to take the Saints here with Derek Carr. And I don't feel like falling for that trap today. Money percentages looks like sharp money on Atlanta. 83% of the money, only 51% of the bets on the Falcons. Total is sitting at 40.5, 42 at some spots, I think it is. Sorry, 41.5, 42 at some spots. Sharp money on the under here at 77% of the money, 58% of the bets on the over, but the money here is in the under 42. So I lean the Falcons and most likely under here in a short divisional matchup with two offenses who seem to struggle so far this year. Another divisional game we got. Nothing too exciting, unfortunately, because Joe Burrow is not playing in this one. Pittsburgh rolls into Cincy as a 2.5-point favorite, looking to continue their surprisingly somewhat good season. Public likes Pittsburgh a lot today. 76% of the money, 60% of the bets on Pittsburgh at the -2.5. This line opened at Cincy -5.5. Obviously, with Joe Burrow's injury, flipped the other way to Pittsburgh at 2.5. Total sitting at a bleak 36.5 as well.
The big piece coming in this game is the fact that Matt Canada finally got fired. It took way too long. Like the Steelers have gone, I think, like 40-something games without getting a total of like 400 yards, I think, on offense, which is just an absurd number at this point. Reports coming out about this game right now is that they are going to try to focus on George Pickens more and giving more carries to the better running back on the team, Jaylen Warren. I've been preaching this since the start of the season. Jaylen Warren's better than Najee Harris. Najee Harris looks like Eddie Lacy at this point, like just fat, can't run, can't do much. I'm sorry, Jake Browning. I'm not gonna side with you here. I'm gonna take Mike Tomlin going against a rookie quarterback, or not a is he? I don't know if he's a rookie, but like making his first actual start. Steelers off a loss, losing to a rookie quarterback last week in DTR. I doubt they're going to drop 2 in a row in this fashion. And Pittsburgh has more to play for at this point. I think the Bengals, know their season's over, especially without having Burrow, even though they're 500. Steelers are vying for a playoff spot. I'll take the team that has more to play for at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty simple here. Better offense, better defense here with Pittsburgh. With Burrow out, obviously it would have been a much better contest if he was in today. Rolling with a team who just gets it done. Tomlin just finds a way to win these games. It's going to be low scoring. I think Bengals defense plays tough today. That D-line, probably my favorite D-line in the NFL is the Bengals, and they're in a tough spot today against the Steelers O-line, but I think they can put some pressure on Pickett, and Pickett through the first 3 quarters has struggled so far this year. So I see it close down the stretch with Pittsburgh, maybe a game-winning drive at the end, or pulling away in the fourth quarter here. So low scoring, Pittsburgh Steelers, gutsy win here. I see it pretty well. All right, Panthers taking on the Titans in a NFC AFC South non-divisional, non-conference game. Still an interesting play here. Most of the public is on the Titans here at 3.5, which makes sense, seeing how bad the Panthers have been. Tennessee opened at 4.5, drops to 3.5. That 3.5 are basically all books. 72% of the bets are on Tennessee today, so probably the heaviest public favorite here is Tennessee. Obviously, Will Levis making his third start. Bryce Young making his 10th start, I think it is now for him. Still, in my opinion, hasn't really shown the progression you'd want in your Week 10 rookie starter. I do see a chance for an upset here today, though. I think it's a good spot for Bryce against an awful secondary in Tennessee, against another offense in Tennessee who hasn't really proven anything. So I don't see him being down too much in this game. So I see a good possibility of that plus 3.5 hitting the money line.
I'm gonna try to not overthink this game. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. They're 0-5 straight up, 1-4 ATS on the road this year. The Titans are a completely different team at home than they are away. They actually play like an actual football team at home. Frank Reich 2-10-1 ATS his last 13 games. Panthers are, I think, it's surprising that they're the worst team in the league right now, but I don't think there's any way to put around it, not just record-wise, but roster construction and everything. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points this game, which could help out with the Panthers at least covering. But I think the Titans are just going to try to give the ball to Derrick Henry and milk clock because the Panthers can't stop the run. We haven't had the signature Derrick Henry game this year yet. If there's a spot to have it, it would be now. Titans aren't out of it, like playoff wise and whatnot, but they're on the far on the outside looking in. I'll take the Titans to win. I wouldn't touch the spread here at all, but I do think the Titans still win this game.
Yeah, 3.5 is kind of scary for me to take a favorite here with such a bad offense. You got to put up points to cover the 3.5, obviously. So I'm gonna take the road dog here. I'll take the 3.5 and run with it. I don't see too many points at all. Maybe a 21-18 game either way. I think is somewhat what you can expect in this one. Low scoring, two rookie quarterbacks, two, in my opinion, two bad teams in general. So yeah, I'll run with the points here in a bad matchup. All right, Buccaneers on the road in Indianapolis today, getting 2.5 on the road versus Minshew. Buccaneers still hanging around, not as bad as what we thought this year would be for them. Baker's playing decent, I think we would say. Putting himself in the comeback player of the year scenario. I like the dog again here, Shane. Just again, two bad teams in my opinion. Not the upper echelons in the NFL we've watched all year. I think you see the value here with the better quarterback in Baker, the better defense in Tampa Bay. Yes, they're on the road in Indianapolis. I get that, but I think this is a pretty easy one for me. Better defense, top 3 red zone defense in the league, a more experienced quarterback, a better quarterback, and some might say, the more experienced coach here wins this one, and I agree. So I'm taking the Bucs on the money line.
Yeah, I'm all over the Bucs in this spot. Surprisingly, both these teams play a lot better on the road this year, and the Bucs are the team that are on the road. Gardner Minshew is on a 2-game win streak. He has never been he has never won 3 games in a row since 2019, which was like around when he came into the league. He's 1-1 ATS on extended rest. Baker's better as a dog, especially on the road. Buccaneers undefeated ATS on the road this year. They're one of 2 teams this year to have that. That Colts secondary, Swiss cheese, Mike Evans and Godwin are probably both going to have days. Even Rachaad White getting involved as he has been the past few weeks. Again, the Bucs have more, I think, to compete for in this game than the Colts because that division is wide open. The AFC South is a 2-headed race right now between Texans and Jaguars, which we'll touch on later. Colts also overperforming, I think, for what they are this year, especially losing their rookie quarterback. I think there's too much value with the Bucs getting points in this matchup. I don't even think they should be getting points in this matchup. So why not take them?
I agree. Again, better offense, better defense, better quarterback. Red zone defense, like I said, top 3 in the league, stopping teams very well in the red zone. You saw against Philly in that primetime game a couple weeks ago. I'll take. This is the easy one for me. I don't know if I'm getting gypped here or if we're getting played on this line, but plus 2.5 seems like a favorable number for me. I'll take the money line just because it's good plus money value. So yeah, let's ride with the dog here in this one. All right, next one, the best game on the slate.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Giants taking on the New England Patriots, 1:00 Eastern time. This line has been all over the place. Opened at a 5.5 point line for New England, dropped to 3, up to 3.5, 4, now back up to 4.5. This is probably because Mac Jones is starting. Most people didn't know who was starting for the Patriots. Now I believe it is confirmed to be Mac Jones. Public on the dog here. Giants getting 60% of the bets, 60% of the money. Total sitting at 35.5. Public's on the under too. 92% of the money, 64% of the bets on the under of 35.5.
As we were starting this show, and a report came out that with Mac Jones starting today, Week 12, Bailey Zappi also, quote, likely to be in the mix. So I think we're going to see both guys on the field. And there is a saying in football, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. The Patriots can't seem to make up their mind on who their quarterback is, which I don't think the rest of the team probably doesn't feel that good about it either because they don't know the guy that's going to be helping them today. This line from the start hasn't made sense to me. I don't know why the Patriots are being like such big favorites for a reason on the road. They've only won 2 games this year, one of them against the Jets. I forget who they even beat the other time.
Oh, the Bills. They're 2-0 versus New York teams.
Oh yeah. Giants coming off a win. I'll take the team getting points that's at home and then has the best playmaker on the field. I don't think it's too much to overthink.
What are you talking about? Mac Jones and the Patriots.
Yeah, he's so good that they're going to take him off the field for Bailey Zappi at points during the game.
There's not much to say here.
Patriots are 0-3 ATS for teams under 500.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll just take the team getting points in a bad matchup.
I can't really disagree. I mean, Patriots are just so awful to watch. The only reason why they're not last in the league in anything else because their defense is somewhat good. I cannot lay 4.5. I can lay 3. I cannot lay 4.5.
See, this is a problem because these are both of our teams, and we're both in positions where we want our teams to lose.
Correct.
Like if the Giants win this game, I don't think there's a shot they're getting a quarterback in the draft. At least one of the top 2. I don't think there's a shot. If the Patriots lose, I think they're in like the number 2 hole, or if not, they're already in the number 2 hole. Which puts them right in line for Drake May or Caleb Williams. We don't know what the hell the Bears are going to do with that pick.
Yeah.
There's reports that are saying that they want to keep Justin Fields, and there's they'd have to be blown away by a quarterback prospect to want to take one. But that could just be smokescreen. I don't know. This is a game that I think both teams want to lose. There's not really that much to talk about here.
It's just a bad game, and
not a lot on TV in red zone this game.
No, this should be a run the ball heavy, probably a lot of turnovers, just ugly brand of football. It's even worse that's played in the swamp in New York. It fucking smells like garbage. Next game, finally somewhat of a good game to talk about here. Jacksonville, obviously, not a surprise team, but they're playing really good football right now ever since that Bills win in London. Taking on a Texans team who has been a surprise. Texans are right in there for a division with a rookie quarterback and rookie head coach. Obviously, CJ Stroud has cemented his state in the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Trevor Lawrence hasn't taken the next step that I think we both thought he would. But he hasn't played bad. Still some turnovers that are questionable. The O line has not been great for them, I think, in most games. So he's getting sacked. ETN finally has shown up the last couple games for him. And his receivers core has been pretty solid too. You know, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram has been not what he was last year, but still pretty decent. So a good team and a really good defense here, taking on a rookie quarterback in Houston.
So Trevor Lawrence has really only had one game this year where he like stepped up in it, but it was last week. Both these teams, if the Texans are going to be a playoff team this year, based off of what's happening in the AFC, the Texans will be in the playoffs. Just a matter if they win the division or not. The line is playing a big part of what side I'm on. Because I think these teams are kind of even at this point. Texans have already smacked on the Jags once this year. I think they beat them by like 20. But CJ Stroud, if he is an underdog covering machine, he's 5-1 this year. As a favorite, 0-4. So looking at this line was important for me. Texans are still underdogs in this matchup at 1.5. I think the Texans are the more hot team right now. They're the out of nowhere team. They're like the Detroit Lions at the second half of last year. Nobody expected them to blow up and just be this team on the scene. CJ Stroud taking the league by storm. I think he'll be the unanimous offensive rookie of the year. I see a lot of points in this matchup. The Texans defense isn't like super scary, and you can throw all over the Jaguars, which is what the Texans are built for. They're built to throw the ball. I'm going to take the home team here. I think the Texans are going to sweep the Jaguars this year, slide into first place in the division. I just think you ride with the hot hand here, and that's the Texans.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. Obviously, you know, Jaguars. Sorry, looking for some revenge from that week 3, I think it was, loss in Houston. Sorry, was that in Jacksonville?
It was in Jacksonville that when they
In
got smacked.
Jacksonville. Yeah, in Jacksonville, week 3, lost 37-17. So since then, they've won 6 out of the last 7. Only lost coming at home to San Fran and the ass whooping. Problem is they haven't played good teams since then. They've played some mediocre teams. They've played Atlanta at home. That's right. And they had the two over the seas games, Atlanta and Buffalo, which they played great in. They played Colts at home, Saints, Steelers, lost to the San Fran, and beat Tennessee last week at home by 20. Again, this is probably the first real test since the Texans game. Obviously, you can say Buffalo's a test, but Buffalo flew in Friday. They've been there for a week and a half already. It just wasn't a good matchup for Buffalo. So, and then they beat the team by 5. So I'm riding with the hot team. They're both playing really well, but I'm riding with the better quarterback here. I think, in my opinion, who's playing much better. The defense for Houston has been playing really well with D'Amico as of late. Yeah, I'm riding with the home squad here. So I could see it as like not a shootout, but maybe 27-24 type of game, 24-21, close down the stretch. But I'll take CJ and Texans today. All right, Denver. Speaking of hot teams, Denver taking on Cleveland at home today, giving Cleveland 1.5 to come into their house. This line opened at, if I can find it, opened at Cleveland -3. Obviously, Deshaun Watson being ruled out for the year is going to affect that line, dropping it down to 1.5. Total opened at 41, down to 37.5. Public all over Denver here. 71% of the bets, 57% of the money on the Denver Broncos. Over sitting at 67% of the money. Under getting 73% of the tickets.
Yeah, I'm not taking DTR to win back-to-back games. He just beat Pittsburgh. QBs in their first year are 5-18 straight up on the road in Denver. Denver is a difficult place to play because of the altitude. The Broncos defense was abysmal to start the season, but is it Fangio or is it whoever the DC is there now? I can't remember at the top of my head.
No, it's
They've been playing a lot better since.
What's his name? Wilkes.
It's not whoever it is. They've been playing a lot better since like week 5 or whatever because they were abysmal. Like after the 70-point game against Miami, they've been playing a lot better. You could still run on the Broncos, but I mean, with DTR under center, I'm just gonna stack the box and make. If DTR is gonna beat me, he's gonna have to beat me with his arm. I don't trust his arm at all. Again, staying with the hot team with Denver here. Denver's probably gonna sneak into the playoffs now too because Cincinnati's out of the picture. Chargers are out of the picture. Buffalo could be out of the picture. There's a lot of open space in this AFC from what we originally thought at the beginning of the year. And I'll take the Broncos to continue this win streak.
This line makes no sense. No sense. You're getting the Broncos on what, a 5-game win streak at home, and you're getting one, and they didn't travel.
And they had to be playing the Browns defense so heavily because I think they're like top 1 or 2 in the league right now. Like this defense is carrying that team. But still, I'm just taking the team that's been playing better as of late, which is the Broncos.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but oh boy, I don't know. This line seems kind of fishy to me, and the public's loving it. 70% of the tickets, only 57% of the money on them, and the line's not really budging at all. Tough. Browns won last week in a weird way. They went up 10-0, down 10-10. They win it. Was it a game-winning field goal? I think it's going to be much the same today. And you're playing against a better team, Denver, than Pittsburgh, or in recency bias. On the road, Denver, tough place to play with elevation. This is a total stay away game for me. If this line was like -3 Denver, I'd like it even more for Denver, but this line's really fishy, sitting at 1.5. Yeah, this line doesn't move towards 2.5 towards game time. I don't know. This line just is really weird for me. So maybe I'm overlooking it, maybe I'm not, but we'll see. Another divisional game today is the Rams taking on the Cardinals here. Rams up to 3 now on the road in Arizona. This line opened at 2, dropped to I think 1.5, Shane, during the week. Back up to 3.
I think at one point it was a pick'em.
Really? So yeah, lines all over the place.
Yeah.
Public on the Rams as well. 62% of the bets, only 54% of the money on the Rams at -2.5 consensus, but most places are -3.
So there's like one key stat here that really makes me pick a side here. Sean McVay is 11-2-1 ATS versus the Cardinals, and then he's 6-0 straight up in ATS in Arizona. And if you want to dive deep into the Kyler Murray Call of Duty narrative, it is a double XP weekend for Call of Duty, which means maybe he's focused more on COD there. But not like I like taking like when there's a clear dominant like matchup like in division or something, just stick with it. Like it's been working the entire time. Stay with it until it's broke. McVay and the Rams have had the number on the Cardinals for a while now. Just keep going with it. It's working. The Cardinals secondary is atrocious. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are just going to probably have a field day. They're getting Kyron Williams back, who, when he was healthy, he was a top running back in the league, which is surprising to say. Aaron Donald's probably going to have a day against this Cardinals offensive line. I think there's also going to be a lot of points in this game because both teams can't really stop anything through the air, but they have the ability to go down the field through the air. But I'll dominate in this matchup in the Rams.
Yeah, I can't really go against that. I mean, I like the Cardinals last week with the weird line. They ended up covering a chance to win at the end. I think Kyler's going to look better and better as the year goes on. I think it's a good matchup for Kyler with this Rams defense. Both defense are pretty bad in the spot. I see points here today. Total sitting at 45, 45 and a half. Even though the sharp money's on the under here in a divisional matchup, which makes sense. I just don't see both defenses getting too many stops, especially on third down. Rams coming in, they could put up 35 in this defense today. I wouldn't be surprised. Stafford's due for a blow up game, so I lean the Rams here. Don't like this game too much, but I do see points for the Rams here, especially. So take that what it's worth. Next one, Raiders and the Chiefs. Chiefs coming off a surprising loss at home versus Philly. Thanks, Scanlon, for that. Just big problems for KC here. KC, let's see, opened up at a 9.5-point favorite, down to 9 here. Public, of course, on the Chiefs, but not as much as you'd think heading into this one. I think because of what they saw last week. 56% of the bets, only 53% of the money on the Chiefs here on the road. The under sitting at 42.5 at most spots. Public likes the under here. 84% of the money, 64% of the bets on the under 42, 43. Man, this is not looking good for Mahomes, man. 2 receivers already ruled out, 1 place on IR. He's got no help.
The Chiefs haven't scored in the second half in 3 straight games. I don't know if people
crazy.
are really letting that
so
sink in.
crazy. That's so crazy.
This is a defensive first team now at this point, and it's a top tier defense at least. The Raiders are 3-0 ATS under Antonio Pierce, who's the interim head coach. However, we know that we see the Chiefs as a team that aren't that great at covering. That's kind of been their thing. They don't cover in a lot of spots. The Raiders are one of the teams that Mahomes is actually fairly decent at covering against. He's 6-4 ATS against the Raiders. I don't think it's a question at this point of whether the Chiefs win or lose this game. I think everybody's going to pick the Chiefs to win this game. It's just a matter of if they can cover this line, whether it's at 9, 10, or whatever. I'm going to take the Chiefs after a loss to probably put a smacking on the Raiders here. I think this defense is going to cause problems for Aiden O'Connell. I wouldn't be shocked if the defense scores, pick 6, fumble, something of that nature. This is just a bounce back spot for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have got to be pissed after last week. They had the win in their grasp against the Eagles, and MVS decided to lace his hands in butter in the end zone. Yeah, I'm just going to take the way better team here. The Chiefs need to have a statement win at this point, and I think this is a great spot to have it in against a team record-wise that doesn't look like they're bad, but when you look at the roster, they're bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Defense especially is really bad. They come in analytically, I believe, bottom 3 in defense. No, actually, no. Not as bad as I thought. They're bottom 10, but it's still bad. Offensively, they come in as bottom 3 in the league at offense. I think this is a 14-point victory for Chiefs here on the road in Vegas with not much of a home crowd to banter with. In this one, I think Mahomes is pissed. I think the whole team's pissed off after what we saw last week. I think it's time to just put your foot in the ground, score some effing points, get Kelce the ball 15, 16 times today, and just shove it down your division opponent's throat at this point. I think it's time to just make a statement and say, we're still here. We're still the Chiefs. We're still the NFL. And I think the Chiefs do it today. I see a 14, maybe even 17-point victory today for the Chiefs. I like this line up to 10. So no play for me in this one. I have no money in this one, but I do like the Chiefs here as a 9-point favor here on the road. All right, game of the week. Bills taking on the Eagles in Philly. Philly off probably their best win of the year last week, even though I think they got outplayed in most aspects of football against Kansas City. Their O-line, man, last week just looked shaky. And I don't know if it was because of the crowd and how loud it was or what, and their blocking points were not right or whatever their shifts weren't working for Hurts or whatnot. But Jason Kelce looked frustrated. Lane Johnson looked kind of slow on the edge there. I don't know if it's going to affect them today at home. I do see a bounce back in that aspect for them, but how do you take the Bills here? I don't see a reason why you should or how you can take the Bills here at +3. They've struggled all year versus good teams. They struggle on offense. Again, this defense is going to give them problems. I think Philly's front seven is going to give Josh Allen problems. I think it's a bad matchup for Buffalo. So I'm right with Philly here at home.
I think the offensive line, quote, struggles last week were just because the Chiefs have a really good pass rush, especially when Chris Jones is there. Spagnuolo was sending a lot of exotic stuff with McDuffie, the corner, coming off the edge. Like McDuffie, I think had like 2 sacks and then a forced fumble that game. So I'm not going to take too much stock in that for the Eagles line. We all know this is like a top 3, if not the best offensive line in football. Anyways, the Bills 1-6 ATS their last 7. I believe the only one that is the cover was last week against the Jets, which was a part Zach Wilson, part Tim Boyle game. So again, not going to take much stock into that either. This Bills team has been decimated with injuries. This Eagles team is showing that they're the best team in football right now. They've beaten a bunch of good teams this year. Jalen Hurts at home is just an absolute unit. There's not really much to say here, which is weird because you'd think with these two teams, like you'd have to have a debate whether what team's going to win. But I think, especially since they're home, this is Eagles territory. Jalen Hurts 12-3 straight up at home versus teams above 500 and has won 11 straight in this spot. This Bills secondary is going to have problems with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. They can't stop the run, so DeAndre Swift's going to have a day. We're probably going to see a tush push or two. This just screams Eagles. I don't know how you take the Bills in this spot.
Yeah, Hurts has been a home favorite of 3 or less 5 times in his career. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 ATS. In those spots, they're just playing good football, man. They're finding ways to win. Hurts is not. He's slowed the turnovers down since the first couple weeks of the season, which was an issue that we all thought would play out towards the end of the year. He's fixed that problem. AJ Brown's still a dog. Devonta Smith's making his catches where it needs to be. DeAndre Swift has come out and played really good football the last couple weeks. If you've watched the Eagles, he's been playing like we thought he should be playing for the Lions all that time. He's making people miss. He's getting an open field, missing open field tackles. Like he's playing really good football here, and he's becoming a really big vocal point in that offense. I think Philly is going to take advantage of that with Buffalo's linebacking core just not there with injuries and whatnot. And I see the deep ball being a big aspect for Philly today, but I think the two safeties in the backfield could have some issues with that. I'd be surprised not surprised, but I'd be entertained to see what Bills do on defense to slow that offense down. If it's blitzing the O-line, if it's letting the run game go and staying back to avoid the deep ball. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be interesting to watch. I'm not going to say an easy win for the Eagles here. They're still playing Buffalo Bills. They're still, analytically one of the best teams in football, just not playing great when it comes down to winning and losing games. I'm going to take the better quarterback, better coach, in my opinion, better defense, at times better offense. We've seen this Buffalo Bills team, in certain instances can put up 35 points a game. But in the situation in Philly on the road, after a huge, huge win versus the Chiefs, I see Philly covering the spread and getting a good victory at home. All right, another good game tonight. Ravens on the road in LA. This line is sticking at 3. Opened at 3.5, dropped down to 3, hasn't moved since. Public all over Baltimore for tonight. 70% of the bets, 60% of the money on Baltimore covering that 3. Obviously, the over in good spirits for the public here opened at 44.5, so jumped all the way up to 48.5 at some points. Over getting 75% of the bets, 68% of the money. Does Lamar continue his MVP caliber season tonight? Shane?
Once I looked at this game, I've had a vision on how this game is going to play out. This game's going to be close throughout. Justin Herbert at night is actually like good at covering, and especially at home. The Chargers will be in the lead in the fourth quarter with like a minute left, and then the Ravens are going to go down, and Justin Tucker is going to kick a game-winning field goal. Somehow the Chargers are going to cover this game, and the Ravens are still going to win. The Chargers are going to charger it up per usual. Brandon Staley needs to get out for the love of God. The Ravens might have to do something different on offense now that Mark Andrews is gone. We would like to think that it's Isaiah Likely that would step in that spot, but so far twice this season when Andrews hasn't been there, he hasn't done a lick. He has like one catch in those games. Both these quarterbacks are good in prime time. At least like in the Lamar Jackson 13-6 straight up in night games, won 5 of the last 7. Justin Herbert, as I said earlier, 10-6 ATS in night games. Yeah, I think there's going to be points this game because the Chargers can still find ways to score. Like their offense isn't like the concern of this team, even though Eckler looks like he can't run the football anymore. He looks slow, which is not good for him because he's going to have to need a contract. I wouldn't be shocked if Eckler's not on a team next year. I'm going to be honest. And then the Ravens have still been good on defense this year, and they have pieces on offense to work with whether it being Odell, who's having a little bit of a resurgence. You have Zay Flowers there as the rookie. Gus Edwards has just been a touchdown machine this year. I'm still going to side with the Ravens to win this game because they are the better team. But I just have a sneaky feeling the Chargers are going to find a way to cover this game and then blow it at the end. And lose.
Yeah, I can see that. This Chargers team is fascinating to me. Talent is there. Talent's on both sides of the ball, especially when they're fully healthy. Justin Herbert, obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's just so frustrating to see this team struggle because of coaching, and that's what it is. It's defensive schemes. It's going forward on 4th and 1 on your own 20. It's just coaching. And until they figure that out, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it's not going to work. So I see kind of a gross win for Baltimore here. I don't think they're going to control this whole game. But I do see them getting a short victory here on the road in LA. Another heartbreaker for LA, probably, in my opinion. So, I ride with Shane here. I think the points is the best play here. Maybe you can get 3.5. The possibility of LA pulling off the upset here, but it's hard to go against this Ravens defense, Lamar, in general here, in a certain aspect where he usually wins these type of games. Covering is one thing, but winning is another, and he wins these games, but will he cover the 3.5 is the question. So I'll take the points here at the plus 3.5 and right with that. All right, last game of the week. Bears taking on Minnesota in Minnesota. Josh Dobbs looking for a rebound game after last week. Justin Fields playing in Minnesota. I don't know. This line opened at, let me just pull it up real quick. Sorry. On Monday now. This line opened at -4 Minnesota. It has dropped now down to -3 on all books. Total sitting at 44, 43 at some places. Not too much action on this one. 57% of the money, 50% of the bets on Minnesota. So a little sharp value there on Minnesota, but we'll see more tickets and money flow in tomorrow and tonight. Just straight football. I don't see Minnesota losing this game. They have something with Dobbs. I think Minnesota takes advantage of that awful Bears defense, especially at home in a primetime situation. Bears, I don't see them trying to win most games anymore. Trying to get good draft capital as well. Two teams in opposite directions. One team looking for a win, one team not really hoping for a win.
This is a game where you just shouldn't overthink it. Bears are 1-9 straight up in their last 10 road games. Bears are 0-2 straight up, 1-1 ATS on extended rest of the season. Bears are 6-20-1 ATS versus the NFC North since 2019. Vikings are 11-7 straight up in home games since 2009. Kevin O'Connell as a favorite is 15-3 straight up. The Vikings are just a better team on both sides of the ball. The Vikings have something to play for because they're competing for a wild card spot. I think Josh Dobbs this season has played better than Justin Fields. I think Josh Dobbs should be the guy for comeback player of the year. I mean, you could argue like what was he coming back from, but he was traded 2 weeks before the season started to go to Arizona, played decent there, then got traded midway through the season to another team. Is about to lead this team to the playoffs. Which I mean, I think it's obvious to say that it's going to go to Damar Hamlin, but if we're taking him out of the discussion, Damar Hamlin, then I would say it should be Josh Dobbs. And if not him, maybe you go Russell Wilson because he had a garbage season last year and he's actually playing decent football now. But yeah, this is a game not to overthink. The Vikings are just a better team on all facets. Brian Flores has his defense buzzing now. They're going to probably bring the pressure to Justin Fields, and Justin Fields does not perform well when there's pressure in his face. I'm going to side with the home team here.
Yeah, it's just a bad matchup, I think, for Chicago with their defense. I can see some points here and surprise maybe over Monday Night Football. Two mobile quarterbacks, two guys who can run out of the pocket, make plays. Minnesota's defense has been playing better. It's still not great in most aspects of defense in the NFL. It's not up to a particular A+ par, but it's good enough to win games. And they've shown that over the past couple weeks, especially with Dobbs at the helm. Looking at just overall statistics, defensively wise, I think they're middle of the pack, which is an upgrade since, they're middle of the pack. Right, actually, they're graded above Philly and right at Buffalo's defensive statistics. So they're playing much better football on that end, which puts it even in a worse spot for Fields here. I think Minnesota gets a comfortable win tomorrow. I can see it by a touchdown or more. This line just doesn't make much sense. Seeing that it'd be a pick 'em in Chicago doesn't really sit well with me, but I still think they get the job done here tomorrow night. So, Shane, any big fantasy news for today? Start, sits, anything you should say to the people?
If you have Trey McBride, you should be starting him. If you have Dalton Kincaid, you should be starting him. Defenses are not come by now. Getting towards fantasy playoffs, so you should start looking at defensive matchups ahead of time and to try to stash defenses so you don't have to worry about them. Hopefully you guys all do well in the fantasy playoffs, except for the guy next to me who may not make the playoffs. It's a big game for you this week, and everything you're relying on today is in the Giants-Patriots game. So I hope you have fun with that. Otherwise, hope you guys all had great holidays. More holidays to come. This is this is where football becomes real. The weather's getting cold. Games are truly mattering as we're getting close to the playoffs. And I hope everybody does well, whether it be fantasy or rooting for your actual team, and hope all your bets hit.
Awesome. Good shit. All right, we'll be back next week, week 13, getting to the slim pickings of NFL weeks. We'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. Peace.